Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. My name is Greg McDaniel. I'm the host of Real Estate Uncensored. I have Mr. Nick Sakis. I have Mr. Gene Volpe. We have an incredible show for you guys right now. You know what? We're going to do an interview with one of our co-hosts, and we're going to start doing this and so you guys can get to know a little bit more about each one of us. Now, you know that we're up here chattering like drunk squirrels on a branch, but do you really know us? Do you really understand where we came from? What's our origin? What's something interesting you don't know about us? We got a lot of questions here for Gene. And so Nick and I are going to put the screws to him and have a lot of fun just kind of figuring out what makes him tick. Why is he the evil bald ninja? And what is something that we don't know about him? So before we get to Gene, our featured host, or featured interviewee today, Mr. Nick Sakis, how are you, brother?
What's up, buddy? I'm feeling pretty good, man. I think we're going to talk about this a little bit later, as far as food's concerned, but I've been pretty good on my diet back, starting January. Not necessarily a New Year's resolution guy, but definitely a lot more into tracking macros and everything and feeling pretty good. So I'm excited about changing my macros and getting a little bit less carbs in. I'm feeling pretty good.
Dude, you are a sexy piece of man meat. I got to tell you. So
meat.
You sexy piece of man meat. I tell a lot of my friends that are girls, I'm like, so who's your new piece of man meat? They're like, what? And I'm like, who's the guy you're dating? And they're like, oh, that's so weird. I'm like, shut up. Anyways, past that comment, Mr. Gene Volpe, welcome to the stage. How are you, brother?
I'm nervous. I'm not used to being on the stage. I'm nervous.
You're always on the stage.
Nervous. Very nervous.
That's actually true. I'm always on the stage, and I'm not nervous. It was a joke. You guys can't throw anything at me. So here's the one thing I want to say real quick. I'm trying to find this as we're looking. Have you guys seen? There's a TikTok thing on here, and it's the new Zoom intro. Have you guys seen this thing yet with Alejandro?
No.
Oh, I got to show you this. So it's an actual recorded video, it's really well produced.
Yep.
And it's basically somebody in an office meeting, like a Zoom office meeting, where he's like, and now our director of accounting, Alessandro, or whatever the guy's name is, and he's got this pre-produced intro of him coming onto the Zoom call. And
like a sting, like a fucking hype video,
bro. It's beyond hype video.
It's so good. Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. And it's so, I'm trying to find it. I'm going to keep trying while we're doing it, because I'll give out the name of the. We should show it on the show. It's so good, dude. It's total fire. So
let's do it.
I kind of feel like you dropped this on me last minute. I would have loved to have had my own hype video coming into this.
Man, I feel like you need to start charging people for hype videos. That's going to be your thing now,
dude. There's a business model there. I guarantee it.
Yeah. Hey, build both of us a hype video, and we'll play it every single time we do an intro, and people are going to fall in love. But let's do this. Let's jump into our questions, because we have a lot of people watching, and I want to do some questions that I really don't think a lot of people understand. And how did you get started in media? I mean, I know you worked in IT before, because we've had conversations about IT in the past.
That's a good memory out of you.
Hey, well, you know what?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You didn't know that? Oh, yeah, he was high up in IT.
No.
I was high while I was in IT.
Yeah. Well, that's because you needed to be. Yeah. Just to cope with life. You're like, oh my God, give me my weed gummies. Holy shitballs. But GVI Media is something that you are the champion of. This is your baby. This is your creation. For people who don't understand what you do, walk us through that a little bit, because I didn't even understand what you did. And you've been co-hosting with me for what, 4 or 5 years? I mean,
I bet you it's longer than that.
Longer than that. Definitely.
And the three of us have never met in person. That's the craziest thing about it.
I always thought I thought it was funny. I met Jake and Nick long before I met you and Matt.
Yeah.
Physically, at least, right?
Well, yeah, physically in person. But the thing is that with GVI Media, funny statement and kind of story is that about a year or so ago, maybe 2 years at this point, I saw Gene. We were a post show talking to one of our interviewees, and he was talking about how he could post ads for them and kind of get more visibility. And I look at him, and I was a little pissed. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, bitch, the fuck are you not doing ads and posting shit for me on social media? He looked at me dead in the face, goes, I've been posting your shit for 2 years, Greg. I'm like, oh,
I don't know if that's because you're a bonehead or my shit sucks.
I think I'm more of a bonehead because I couldn't figure out where it was coming from, and I love the content, and none of my team could figure out where it was coming from. Like, these are great articles.
You know what they say? Listen, you know what I always say? That's what you get for free.
Yeah, there you go.
I would love to try the paid version, man. So how did you get started, man? Walk us through that.
It was actually an accident, if I'm being honest. I was in IT, like I worked for a company called, I can't say the name of the company on here's top Fortune 15, rhymes with Horizon telecom company, right? I'm kidding. It's Verizon. So not Verizon Wireless, but it was Verizon network integration at the time, which was basically proactive managed services. So it's funny. I'm in a space now where I do marketing for a pretty big tech company on the West Coast. And everybody's like, why do you know the lingo? And I'm like, dude, I sat for my CCIE. And for most people that are watching this, they have no idea what that is. But the people that know it are like, you did? Now, I failed by a couple points. I never went back to retake it because we got married. But that's like the CCIE. If you are one, I get giddy when I see somebody. So like there's this guy that I know that sends me emails and it says CCIE number 9275. And I'm always like, oh my God, if I was going to get an autograph, it'd probably be from CCIE. Like to me, that's the doctorate level of the IT world. And it was something I always strive to get before I left. Then I left. So when I did leave, I started a company with one of my business partners in real estate investing and coaching. So we taught people how to invest in real estate and we purchased our own. I had 20 doors at one point. We were flipping and wholesaling and doing private deals and lending money and borrowing money and all this other stuff. If you're interested in doing that for yourself, I have a lot of things I could tell you to do, but I have more things I could tell you what not to do to protect yourself.
Way more valuable.
Way more valuable. That's what people say, dude. Yeah, you don't have 80 billion places. I go, yeah, because I've got kicked in the teeth a lot of times. It takes a lot to get back up sometimes. But so I started in that space. So we were in the real estate game, right? I was at the table for a bunch of closings. I helped by the time 2012 rolled around, I sat through about 250 closings, which is funny because when I got in the marketing business for real estate agents, they're like, what do you know about real estate? I'm like, I guarantee I sat at more closing tables than you have in your whole career. That's what I know about it. Oh, and I know the marketing piece of it. Of course, I wasn't that much of an asshole, but you get the idea. And then so it was kind of weird. This is kind of funny. You guys probably don't know this, but two guys out of Virginia found me on Twitter and they were like, we see what you're doing. We like what you're doing. This was like 2008. We want you to come join our business. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. My man, Vince Miko, I haven't seen this dude in a long time. I hope you're well, Vince. I basically took this phone call thinking it was like an MLM, right? And not that MLMs are bad. I just, at the time, that's not something I was going to be doing. And these guys got on the phone. They were like, we're starting a video and photo touring business for real estate agents. We know you deal with a lot of realtors. This could be a good fit for you. So I started videotaping houses for sale for real estate agents. And while that was going on, let me take you back a little bit. I left my job at Verizon. I was in the middle of building a business in the real estate sector. So I still had to pay my mortgage, right? And these real estate agents were like, I have my brother-in-law come out and take these shitty pictures. What do I need video for? So, it's hard enough for us to get real estate agents to do video in 2023. Imagine what it was like in 2010. So it was hard to do that, right? But at the same time, Facebook started to really make a break, right? This is where we started to see ads come up and business pages. And so these companies were morphing into digital online advertising. And there was a shift towards mailers into, wait, what is this new Facebook thing? I need to be on top of this. So I thought, these agents are all asking me these goofy questions. I remember one time I called this agent and I was like, your video's done. And she was like, do I have to turn on my computer to watch it? And I was like, no, just look up at the ceiling. It'll be right above your head. And of course I didn't do that. But I did say in my head, I go, I have an IT background in tech. My job solely at Verizon was to go around the country and explain to people who ran these businesses why their network went down, what we did to fix it, and how we can guarantee it's not going to break again. So I had to take that technical jargon and roll it into layman's terms. I did that. And I thought, when people start asking me about Facebook advertising and cookies and pixels and blah, 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 I feel like I have a space where there's a niche here where I can help these folks. And it just that basically built my business started. At the time I hooked on to Gary Vee. I was watching what he was doing. I was checking all these things out, but also at the same time, I started to build a business based around the questions that these agents were asking me. So they would say to me, should I have a YouTube channel? And I would go, I think so, but let me just look into a couple things. And I would researched YouTube, and then come out of it. And in the beginning, I always thought this was funny. I became an expert in my space in the early days only because I kept telling people I was an expert in my space. Really, I mean, that's really what it was. I put the legwork in and the hard work in to learn all the systems, and I did become. I hate using the term expert. I became good at handling these things over time, but even in the beginning, it took me a lot of legwork. I was willing to put the work in to go down the rabbit hole and research these things, and I realized that I could have put a price tag on it, and so was born Your Real Estate Concierge at first, until I realized I didn't want to only deal with real estate agents. I wanted to jump into bigger businesses, and I changed the name of the company to GVI Media. So there it is.
Wow,
man,
that was a lot.
Dude.
I'm sorry.
Shoot. I mean, I have so many questions. It hurts my brain to ask these questions, but I know Nick has the second questions. We have five full questions, and the fifth question, by the way, I've done research during this last segment. I'm going to ask some weird questions about the food in Philly. Okay. I'm very confused about what the fuck is going on in your city.
Now, when I say expert, Greg, I can proudly say I'm an expert in the food field in Philly.
Good, because I have a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Nick, what's your question, my friend?
I don't remember my question because he just went on a rant that sparked so many other questions. You talked about the CCID. So the CCID is what? Can you explain that a little bit?
CCIE. Yeah.
CCIE.
Cisco certified internetworking expert.
So networking.
Yeah, this is a guy or a girl in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
That basically could fix or break anything in a network. So these were giant companies across the world that were connected. So think about it. If you have an email, you're working for, pick a company, Macy's. Yeah. They have a system in place. That system attaches itself to a bunch of things. Like today, it's the Amazon cloud in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
These things were privately owned circuits that would go across the country. And in the basements and the closets of these huge, one of our clients was a huge hospital. They would have these things. And if a T1 went down or a T3 or an OC12 or the tie lines that connect these things. So think about your internet connection going down, Greg. Okay. If your internet connection went down, you call Comcast or Verizon or whoever it is in your area and you go, right, I can't get on the internet, fix it. Well, these people are like, I have patients in hospital rooms that I can't get their medical data on, fix it. It's a little bit of a different level, right? Yeah. So you need somebody in there to understand the 7 layers of that OSI model, because there's different things on every layer of the model that you can break and fix. And these guys were the cream. It's like if you got sick and you couldn't figure it out and you got to fly yourself out to the best well-known neurosurgeon doctor in the biggest hospital in the country, that's what these guys were, the CCIEs. And I want to do that. Yeah.
So you come in with a black leather jacket and just fucking fix shit.
Pretty much. Yeah.
So your nickname,
the closer. The last guy you see at the closing table when you buy a car.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So basically, the Evil Bald Ninja is a very suited name for you because you came in and you just made it happen. You just went, Kajabi on them. Just
so the CCIEs that are watching will say, no, he didn't, because he wasn't good enough to actually pass the test.
All right, fuck off.
It's okay because I had a bunch of them that worked with me and for me. So, but I knew how to orchestrate that. My job was to orchestrate and bring in the guys. I knew enough to sit and take the test. I was pretty good. At what I did.
Yeah.
And again, it's sort of like in my business and marketing, I didn't sleep. Like even my wife would say, it's 4:30 in the morning and they're calling you, or you're on call. How are you so nice? You get out of bed and you talk to these guys like you're your best friends. And I'm like, that's who pays our bills. So if they're mad at me, I can't go, I'm not taking a call. It's 4:30. No, they had a network outage. It's a giant hospital network. People, I don't think people were dying, but potentially people could be in trouble. So you call me at 4:30, I got to help you at 4:30. That's all there is to it.
Well, Gene, your lady, your wife, your beautiful, wonderful wife, she's in medicine. My girl's in medicine. And dude, when stuff goes down, it goes down, and there's literally lives at stake. Doesn't matter if you're getting a medication or if you're in the middle of a surgery and you need anesthesia and you need to keep the surgery going to keep the patient alive. This is important stuff. And so when it comes to, let's transition here really quickly. Let's talk about triage for 2023 in the real estate market. What do you see coming in 2023 in regards to tech and in regards to just kind of how people are going to perceive how to use tech? Because we have TikTok, we got all these other sites that are out there. We have AI, Chat GPT that we've done a couple of shows on. How are you seeing this from the tech side of you? How can agents really benefit from this?
So predictions for me are always tough, right? I don't.
Well, don't
like
predict. Don't predict. Just talk about what you're seeing. I want to what you're seeing right now.
I kind of have to talk a little bit about predictions. Like I think, and this one's going to be, people are going to go, oh, we really jumped out of the box on that one. As fast as things have been moving in the tech and marketing sector, they're going to move even faster in this year. I told you about helping this company across the country in the tech space with some of their marketing, right? And so I'm watching these guys sell tech services to some of the largest companies, and security is a huge thing, right? People are super concerned about security. Why do you think that is? Because everybody's going back to the office, or everybody is going to be working probably from their desks at home with their kid hanging over them, right? And I think there's going to be
more devices than ever before, right?
What's that?
There's more devices just in the world, in everybody's house, and just connectivity, and
it's crazy. It's crazy. Problem. And I actually do marketing for another company. It's a financial company, and I have one of their one of their employee laptops. They give that to me because in order for me to access their network, I have to be on their equipment. And when I tell you that they're constantly tying me up, just because the restrictions get stronger and stronger on all their things. Like I used to be able to get the Outlook from their network on my phone. I can't do that anymore. Yeah. And it frustrates the crap out of me. But I also, from the security perspective, I understand why they're doing it. Everybody's running around like crazy. And actually, the chief strategy officer that Nick, you and I talked about, he said something in our end of year podcast a couple of weeks ago. And he's like, we're no longer securing the devices, we're securing the people. Yeah. And I think, right. And I go, that's like, when you think about that, that's super profound. So not that that has anything to do with marketing. It probably will have more to do with your real estate career and how you access your applications and things going on from your own space. I mean, people are just stealing data left and right and holding it for ransom. So you got to be protective. That's the one thing.
I'm going to back that up really quickly with an experience I had yesterday. So I have an Apple 13, whatever it is, right? And I completely forgot my Apple ID password. And I've been trying to get it, fixed, and I couldn't get it fixed. So I finally went into Apple yesterday, and they're like, "Oh, well, here you have to do like a triple, like login, security checks, all this bullshit, right?" And they're like, "Oh, we're gonna email you in 24 hours your opportunity to create your new password." I'm like, "Well, why?" And they're like, "Well, because we don't want anybody to have access to your information, your photos, so on and so forth." And I said, I thought in my head, I'm like, I don't give a shit. I mean, fucking have at it. You want to see some naked photos? I mean, fine, whatever, you weirdos. But, and I'm joking about the naked photos, by the way.
No, you're not. No, he's not. No, not a chance.
Anyways, back to business here, people. Okay. But I mean, I understand where that's going, and the guys were totally serious about it. So it's fascinating to hear that. Are you kind of putting that into your business in 2023? Are you seeing more real estate agents want more security and kind of how they can market more security for their clientele? I mean, what are you looking at on that?
No, I think from the tech space, real estate is always 4 to 8 years behind the common man, right?
Or 48 years behind.
Yeah, that too. No, I don't think that's not something that I'd be willing to help anybody. And this isn't part of my service. This is more of just a kind of get your shit together. So like Greg, when people don't know what they don't know, right? So you're talking about your photos. True. Nobody wants your photos. You log into your bank from your phone, right?
I do not, but most people do. No, I do zero banking. I do zero control. I do nothing on my phone that's gonna be financial. Nothing.
Wow, that's crazy. Nick, you do, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I got my crypto accounts, I got my friggin' IRAs, so I do everything. But so what happens is, think about it. They do right now, the best form of security is 2-factor authentication, which most people aren't probably using Google Authenticator to log into their TD bank accounts, right?
Yeah.
So what does that mean? Well, guess what? They're probably getting, in some cases, they're getting text messages back. So do you know that people, think about this, right? You ever see these things on Facebook where people are like, show us the picture of you in high school and tell us where you went to high school, what year, right?
Yeah.
This is phishing for your information that you're probably using for security password for your security questions on your password for your banking account. So think about that. Give me 3 questions you have to answer. What was your first dog's name? Show us a picture of your first dog and what was their name.
Yeah.
These guys now have your information. They can answer these security questions too. So when they call Verizon, okay, here's what I would do. Who's your cell phone carrier?
Oh, sorry, my jaw just dropped at this moment because I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. Who's your cell phone provider?
Verizon.
All right. So Verizon. So Verizon, you should have a lock on your account where they don't basically do anything over the phone. You have to go in and physically be there, right? So what people are doing is I could actually go out and find your stuff and say, all right, I know that most likely the Verizon questions, these 10 questions, I'm going to go out and look at Greg's profile and find out the name of his dog, find out the name of whatever. I can call there and impersonate you and have you port the number somewhere else. So when I log into your account and that text message comes to your phone, it doesn't come to your phone anymore. It comes to me. So now what I'm doing is basically hacking your shit because I was able to change your information. What happens is hackers get on the phone with some 24-year-old kid that works at Verizon. They pretend they're you. They're in an emergency. And the kid goes, I'm not supposed to change any data. You have to help me. I'm in big trouble. Okay. Oh, okay. I'll change the data. Now I'm receiving all of the information that you have is secure, right? So my point there is there's a lot of ways that I come from West Philly, right? So I know a lot of little tricks, you know.
The good news about all of this is most hackers are very lazy and they won't go through all of those steps to hack somebody unless they know they're going to get a big bag. Yeah. Most of them are inherently lazy. So like the phishing scams are usually in the hundreds of thousands of touch points at something as easy as like click this link in the email, your text message. Like always primary number one, if you get a text message or an email from an institution, go log into that institution. Do not click the link that came in the app or the text. Like that's
super important. Something so simple.
Something so simple.
But how many people do it, dude? Listen. Let me ask you this question: when the IRS gets in touch with you, what do? They call your phone? They call your cell?
Oh, I've gotten those calls. We're the IRS, and we're going to come to arrest you at noon today if you don't pay this bill.
I'm like, first of all, they're
never going to call you.
First of all, they're the greatest because I will literally burn 45 minutes messing with these people, and I never record it. I should record it. They're hilarious, but
it is fun.
But here's the thing. Here's what I know. I have a friend who's in accounting, who's an accountant at one of these top firms in the city, and a couple years back, he told me, he goes, dude, I have a client that fell for it, and I'm like,
what?
I believe people fell for it. He goes, listen to me. This dude is worth $20 million. Like he's not somebody that doesn't understand the rules of the game, that doesn't make this work. And he goes, I get this phone call and he goes, Mike, I think I might've done something stupid. And he goes, what did you do? And he goes, I actually answered one of those IRS calls and I cut him a check for $3,800. And in his back, like in this guy's case, it was probably like me giving you $12. It didn't matter. But if he's falling for shit like that, how many other people don't understand? And all you got to do is click it once and you're infected. Like I'm not trying to scare you, but I'm saying in 2023, there's probably people that might need help with securing their stuff. And I don't offer it as a service, but I certainly be willing to help you understand it.
You know what? I think this leads kind of into my next question I want to have for you. Visibility in 2023, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody wants to be visible. Now, when you become visible, you become a soft target, right? Because you haven't, secured your assets, a barrier around your protected information. If you are like one of us that is consistently out in the public view, and like this morning, I got 2 emails. And they're like, "Hey, here's an invoice for blah blah blah," and there's a random email, and I'm like, "No," and I'm like, delete. But a lot of people will click on them because curiosity kills the cat. Right. And that's why we all opened up those emails back in the 90s and the early 2000s. Like, hey, there's a prince that wants to give you half of his fortune. All you have to do pay me, $50 and you get $100,000. Yep. It's just that mindset of like, not that we're dumb, we're just gullible because we don't know the difference.
Well, and I'll tell you this too. You act off impulse. Uh-oh, I'm in trouble. Click.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Right.
Yes, I call my CPA. Anytime I get anything from the IRS, I'm like, Tom, I got an email from the IRS. He's like, they don't contact you that way. They only contact me. I'm like, okay, click, thanks, bye. Boom, delete, gone. And I think, Gene, what you just said, that we act off of impulse.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people do that on marketing. We do that in now tech that I'm learning more about, that you're very, both of you guys are very, very knowledgeable about. How can you be visible but yet protected at the exact same time as things are moving forward so fast? I mean, even TikTok, I mean, there's your right side of the aisle, right, and the left side of the aisle. Don't really care where you stand or sit, but everyone's talking about how TikTok is a Chinese company, how they're harvesting data, how they're just hacking all this content. I mean, when you do those facial, like, hey, this is what we're going to look like in 10 years kind of a thing, right?
Yep.
I mean, that scared the shit out of me. I'm like, I'm not touching that fucking thing with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, but what can we look for to be protected but yet visible so we can attract more clients and get more money, do more deals?
It's getting harder, right? The technology's moving faster. If you're still trying to figure out how to use Facebook from 2011, you're kind of behind the 8 ball. I mean, you just got to be real careful, and you have to be diligent, and you got to really be smart with some of the things you do. So like we talk about 2-factor authentication. I just mentioned Google Authenticator. If you don't know what that stuff is, you need to go out. It's not, most of these things we're talking about are not things that are going to take you a year and a half to learn. It's, you load this app, you load this app on your phone. It's only on your phone in most cases. So when you plug in a password, they ask you for the code that regenerates every 50 seconds, every 1 minute. And then you plug that in so they know it's you, right? If you don't have my phone, you probably can't get in the 90% of what it is that I'm getting into.
Yeah, be careful with that though, too, because if you have the Authenticator app on your phone and you lose your phone and you try to log in through desktop to other things, you're out. You're totally out.
Which is why I say you got to do a little bit of research, because there are fixes. Like today I did a call with somebody who was like, what are these crazy numbers? I'm like, they're seeds. And he's like, what's a seed? I go, that's in case you can't get in the way you're supposed to get in. This is one of the ways they verify that it's you, because you're the only one with these seeds. You got to keep them and you got to protect them. Right. So there's ways to backdoor that, but you got to know it. Here's the other thing too. If I'm like, we're talking about scare tactics. Most of the places where you have your money, like when you talk about your bank, I get hacked. My card gets hacked twice a year.
Oh yeah, I lost 3 cards last year.
Yeah, what do? You call them and you go, yo, this wasn't me. They go, okay, here, we'll give you a refund. We're going to do a little research. Like in most cases, if you're using a top-notch bank, they're not going to go, oh, sorry, you're out of $800. So nothing we can do. They go, oh, here's your money back. If we find out you're lying, we're going to take our money back and then we're going to cut your account. But if you're not, and somebody really stole your shit, you're going to be fine, right? Like there's in most cases that's not going to happen. But who the hell wants to go through all the trouble of trying to figure out where that money went? And these things happen. You guys remember the title company scam that they were running?
Oh, the checks. Oh, 100%.
Yeah, dude. Like that's scary, bro. If you have a buyer that's dropping $50K on something and that money's just gone.
Yeah.
Right. Dude, that's a scary thing.
There was a story out of my brokerage when I was my old brokerage that a client wired $500,000 for the down payment on like a $5 or $6 million home. It went right to a scammer. Thing was gone, and they couldn't touch it. And then the lawsuits just went to the brokerage, to the agent, to everybody. I mean, you lose $500K, I'm going to sue your ass.
Yeah. Well, listen, this again, going back to what we talked about. Knowing how that works and what your recourse is, right? So there are insurance companies that now insure that. So, cybersecurity crime, right? If it's called, I don't think it falls under your E&O insurance, but there's something you can do where if your brokers get scammed out of money, they'll cover you for that, right? They go through a whole audit and like a investigation and stuff, but that's coverage. And there's other ways, like immediately when that stuff started to get mainstream, people would start to put things in their email. I will never ask you for X, Y, and Z through an email. Do not send any money anywhere until that to me, I would have been sending video emails to my clients 3 times a week. Listen, if somebody sends you an email saying wire money here, call me. Don't do anything. Don't wire money anywhere until you call me. And then we talk later after I have 3 beers and I tell you to do the same exact thing again. That's like 2-factor authentication, right?
Dude, I went old school on this. Instead of wiring money, I said, look, you have a choice. You can wire the money and take the chance, or you and I go down to the bank together. Let's cut a cashier's check. You and I will then walk it together to the escrow company. You can guarantee this is going to be safe because there's too many people taking money from, unbeknownst, individuals. Because that's a lot of money, man. If it's $500,000 or if it's $5,000, that's a lot of money for an individual. And that's bullshit how people fuck people over on this stuff. I mean, I get it. It's a scam. They're scammers, and they all need to be burned in hell on stakes. But if you're a scammer, fuck off and die. Stop listening to the show. But all the good real estate agents and lenders and everybody else, stay here, listen to us. My grandpa got a call, and this is probably 10 years ago. My grandpa, before he died, he was an incredibly intelligent gentleman. If any of you guys have ever gone to a supermarket and you've got those packaged salads, and then you can take the package with the, dressing and ingredients or whatever else, and then dump it in a bowl, and that's your salad, right? My grandfather and his team invented that. That was one of their main projects. He got a call one day going, "Hey, Grandpa, it's Greg. I'm in Europe, and I'm in deep trouble. I can't access my cash. I got robbed. I need $3,000 to book a plane home. Can you help me?" And my grandpa, smart as a whip, on his landline, taking this call, grabs his cell phone, and goes, "My mom's Sally. Hey, Sally, is Greg in Europe right now?" She's like, "No." He's like, "Okay, thanks." He's like, "Fuck off." Click.
Nice.
And that's just being situational awareness of your environment and what's going on. Because the digital world, the more stuff I watch about it, it is terrifying.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 strokes of a key, keypad with a good person who knows what they're doing, dude, you're done, man. You're absolutely done. But speaking of being done, are there any final thoughts on this commentary here? Then I have a unique question, which I don't think either one of you knows coming your way right now.
I like these.
So, Nick, do you want to finish up on this conversation right here on tech and security?
So I have one question.
Okay.
Final to put a cherry on top of this. Do you regret not staying in the IT game and switching over to marketing?
No, not a little bit. So it's funny. I have a story about that. And when I left IT, I had a 2-year-old. And by the time I got my feet underneath me and we were moving and I was making a couple bucks, I had a 5-year-old and 2-year-old. And they were in school, not in school, whatever. And I remember, I forget exactly what it was, but I was sitting literally at lunch on a Wednesday with my 5-year-old sitting across the table from her. And I remember somebody saying, I was talking to X, Y, and Z, one of my close friends who has an office job. And he's like, I remember him saying, what an asshole he must have been to let that salary go. And I remember taking a bite of my food and looking at my daughter going, what an asshole. Yeah. What an asshole I am. He's at work right now. And I'm sitting here at lunch. The flexibility and the free time and what starting my own business has done for me is so much more than any salary, guaranteed salary could ever put in my pocket. I mean, when I started my business, we had some lean years, man. My wife and I had some tough times, dude. I mean, and I say that because she works her ass off and she makes good money. And I get people say all the time, I'll give you a number. This isn't the number, but people would say to me, okay, so you made all that money, but your wife has a great salary. So what are you concerned about? And I go, bro, when you go from making $250,000 a year to 125, I wasn't living off $110,000 a year. I was doing what most Americans do at the time. I was living off $300,000 a year. So right. I was already behind the 8 ball, right? Yeah. So there were some lessons. If you would have asked me that 2 months after I left Verizon, I probably would have told you I was scared and I don't know what the hell I was thinking.
Yeah.
But now when I look back on it, hell no. My life is so much different and so much more enjoyable because I get to do whatever I want at any. I haven't missed a dance. I say that. I mean, I miss certain things for certain reasons. We're splitting up. She's going here. I got to go here. I saw all their basketball games. I coached them all in softball. I was the marketing director at their softball fields. They both did dance for. My oldest is 17. She's been doing it for 15 years.
She's 17.
She's going to be a college freshman next year.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. You just can't believe a 35-year-old can have,
no, actually, I can actually believe that. But
the math works.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, tick, 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 tick. Okay, yeah. Okay.
But so, Nick, the short answer to that is no shot. And it's changed me to a point too, where even though my thing is marketing, I feel like now that I know how the game's played, I can do anything I want. Right. So it's less about leaving IT and getting into marketing and more about leaving a cubicle and getting into my freedom space.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the difference.
Repeat that one more time.
Oh,
Leaving
geez.
your cubicle and getting into your free space. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it's my time now. I don't call nobody. I always say I call my wife every once in a while. Like I got to run certain big purchases or, different things. I call her and I go, "What do you think?" And she goes, "Whatever you think." I'm still in charge of it, but I still run it through the boss. I call her my boss.
Oh, she's all the ladies in our
She's your
lives.
two-factor authentication.
She's my 2FA. That's right. A great call. That's a great call.
But it is true. I mean, we all, our ladies, and gentlemen who, whatever way you guys swing in life, whatever your flavor is. I mean, your partner is your partner. And I mean, you have to considerate what their thoughts are because you guys are running this path together. Yeah. And I love the fact that, Gene, you have such a wonderful wife that stood by you, walked with you, went through the flames, and came out victorious on the other side because she believed in her man, her partner. And a lot of us, when you think that you can't ask a question to your partner, AKA business or personal, ask the hard question. I'm personally going through that right now with my girlfriend. And she's asking me to ask them hard questions. And they're wonderful questions. I've been afraid to ask the questions. And I'm now asking the questions. I cannot tell you the difference in our relationship. And it's been one fucking day doing this, right? It's unreal. So, I mean, I think that's one of the biggest things. But I know we have a hard stop coming up here in a little bit, and everyone's really interested to know some more personal things about Gene.
Sorry. I just want to say one thing on it because you guys both alluded to it. And Paul Franklin, my long lost friend, who we haven't seen in a while, but he's back.
Paul? Where have you been, dude?
He's up there doing some mountain guy shit. Who knows?
Oh my God!
I know he's torturing Veronica Jones. I see those back and forths all the time, so they're having a little bit of fun. No, but I want to say something. So I had a conversation this morning with a very close friend that got me really reliving some of those early moments when you guys brought it up, right? So I actually stopped what I was doing today and went upstairs. And I said to my wife, I was like, "Can you put your work down for a second? I want to talk to you." And she's like, "Oh, this sounds serious." And I'm like, "But there's no trouble, right?" And I basically said to her, I was like, "Look," I said, "Do you remember when we were going through those times?" And we sat down. My wife and I, when we argue, we don't have conversations when we argue, right? She's Italian. I'm a stubborn asshole. They're typically when we haven't argued in a long time. Like it's so different now. But back in those times when money was tight and I was a cowboy and I was out late at night doing shit and she didn't know where the money was coming from, like we had some drag out, knockdown, crazy fights. And we did sit down at a time and discussed after the 6-week blowout for the 35th time. We talked about what would happen if we got divorced. What would we do with the girls? And like we had a civil adult conversation. And I went upstairs today and I said, "Do you remember that?" And she said, "Oh yeah, I do." And I said, thanks for making the decision and sticking with me. Like I just wanted her to know that it meant a lot. And today it just kind of, there was a couple things that happened that made me rethink about that. And I just had to take a second to thank her for being what I would call my foxhole buddy, right? Like Greg, I don't care if you're 6'5" or not. If you came to my house and gave me a dirty eye, you're going to have one rabid Italian on your back. Believe me. It's not me. And it won't be me. I would just be giggling. She's got me, man. You talk about somebody who's got your back. She's got my back. No shit.
That is awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That really is cool. So let's get to know Gene on a personal level when we start closing this out a little bit.
Let's go.
I think, Nick, you have the death row question.
Yeah. So Gene's a foodie. We've seen, and I think there needs to be a resurgence in 2023 of the sauce making in Gene's kitchen. Those lives that he was doing a couple years ago. I think those are fantastic. So we got to put the question on the table here of if you were on death row for whatever reason. Okay. We're not going to go into that. Well, maybe we will.
Well,
what would be on the menu?
Hey, Nick,
Gene Volpe.
Nick, that was expunged. He was under 18. Okay. We talked about this in pre-show. Yeah. Okay.
Got it. Yeah. Listen, we do another show about my past transgressions. You guys would be shocked. I don't know that you would get a couple words in edgewise, but I did some fun shit back in the day.
I remember those conversations.
Yeah, there's been fun things. So interesting. So am I allowed to give a couple answers? Because I have a couple.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
All right. So you're talking about last meal, right? So people this is all right. First thing I'm going to tell you is this. I'll give you the simple one. There's a place down the street from me called Teikoku. And for all my local people, if you haven't tried this yet, get there. they have a sushi roll called the Dragon Roll, and it's tuna, spicy on the top, and I don't even go into it. It's one of my favorite things to eat in the planet, and definitely my favorite sushi roll in the world. So I would love to have that there. Second thing, I'm a huge red wine and charcuterie guy. Like when
you
I
like
tell
charcuterie,
bro, that's one of my favorite things to do. You see the new make your own charcuterie plate that opened up in New York?
No.
Oh, it's like when you go into Chipotle and you go one of these, except it's charcuterie. Yeah, dude.
All right.
Like,
So wait a minute.
Yeah.
Is it charcuterie?
Yeah.
Charcuterie?
How do you for the dyslexic spell that really quickly?
We need some comments. I need to know what the actual pronunciation of
charcuterie is. Probably
charcuterie. I think it's charcuterie.
I say charcuterie, right?
Charcuterie.
Charcuterie. Whatever
that
you
sounds
want.
A lot like coochie, but I don't know if that's.
Okay, we're moving forward.
That might be why you're on death row.
There you go. Here's Paul Franklin. Thank you, Paul, for that. Shark coochie. That's great. Jenny Lee, here's my girl. She knows we're gonna do lunch at Teikoku, me and Jenny. So that's the first thing. Charcuterie. I'll do that, and a great glass of wine. And I like crazy shit with it. I like the difference in taste, right? Like I like the grapes for the sweetness. I like the dark sea salt chocolate to, on the end. So I have honey in there. I got goat cheese. I got crackers. I got candied walnuts. Like dude, bro, I make a good one. Trust me. I take it super seriously, right? And then by the way,
Gene, I've never had a charcuterie or charcuterie board. I've never been presented with one, and I've never. I'm sure I've had goat cheese. Obviously, I've had honey.
I've never been presented with one. What do you think?
I've never been invited to the Bald Ninja's house to see a wooden table filled with goodies.
I will say this: I did find out fairly recently, and actually I knew this from before, but it just dawned on me again that one of the folks in your household who happens to be the smartest one is your 6-year-old who's an Eagles fan. And you're talking about coming up here for an Eagles game. If that does take place, we'll do shark coochie. Yep. We'll do red wine. And then we'll talk about some of our cheesesteaks and hoagies that we'll talk about as well. Right.
Nice.
Dude, I'm looking at the photos of this restaurant right now and holy sheep shit.
Which one?
The one that you and Jenny are going to.
Oh, Teikoku. They're great, dude. Yeah. They have,
oh my God.
And they have a couple around here. The folks that own it, they're called Win WIN. It's not Win Services, but it's like Win Restaurant Group or something. And there's a couple up here, Ozzy on Main. They do a nice job. Yeah. And that's literally 200 feet from my house. So we used to come up here. Like when they first opened, we first moved in here. I'm telling you, we were doing $180 takeout nights. And I said to my wife, I'm like, we're not going to be able to pay the mortgage. It's a lot of money for takeout, but it's good, man.
You've inspired me because Jackie and I are thinking about something to eat for dinner for takeout. And she's like, well, I have 12 hours in the OR to think about stuff. And I'm like, after this conversation, I'm like, we're doing sushi. We're doing sushi. We're doing sushi.
I feel like you're in the, I don't know, for a death row meal to say cold sushi. I feel like that's a minority call.
Oh,
I feel like very few people. There'd be a lot less people that say sushi first. So that's interesting.
Well, listen, I think there's a lot. Like if I could name my best steak and potatoes au gratin or a baked potato, like that to me, that's why I say, can I do a couple? Because in my mind, I almost think like I would have an 11-course meal. First course would be charcuterie. Second would be sushi. Third course would be pasta and guanciale from Alessandro's in Wayne, another unbelievable spot. Fourth spot, and then don't forget dessert and coffee, right? So yeah.
The sauce man, Mr. Italian, goes with sushi first. I was thrown off a little bit. Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So what else?
Okay, so let's do a question. So that is your kind of death row last meal, because obviously you're very big in cooking and everything else. And I'm with Nick. I want you to bring back your cooking shows with your wife. Those are fucking hilarious.
I gotta get her to start drinking tequila again because that's the only time she gets on camera.
Yeah. Death row budget for death row last meals. I'm just gonna look at our budget here. $40.
I
guess they would have a budget.
Your budget is $40, not to exceed.
Ooh.
So
you
got to pick on something there.
I'm going Italian hoagie, but go
ahead. Yeah.
All right. So my question for you, I've never been to Philly. I am definitely going to make a trip out there sometime in my lifetime, and then we're going to go peruse all the wonderful food out there. But I did a search on some of the stuff that you guys eat. Now, obviously, we know Philly cheesesteaks is an absolute just that's your staple, right?
Yeah.
Then give me your opinion on the roast pork sandwich. Are we
hidden gem? It's a hidden gem. Most people don't know about it. So Denick's at the Reading Terminal is one of the best in the world. And then there's another one called John's Roast Pork, where you could get a roast pork sandwich or one of the best cheesesteaks in the city.
Damn. Okay.
All right, so the roast pork sandwich, is there any au jus or anything with it, or is it?
So typically it's fairly wet. There's sharp provolone, and they'll do like broccoli rabe or roasted red peppers. My favorite is the Robbies. We call them Robbies, broccoli rabe and sharp prove with pork that's hot and wet.
Sharp provolone. I don't think I've ever had sharp provolone.
Nikki, we got a lot of things to talk about.
Man, I tell you, I don't feel like I've lived it. I hear these stories. I feel like I eat pretty good. I haven't missed a meal in my life, but shit.
Yeah, we got some stuff to talk about.
I'm missing out.
Here's something that drives me crazy. I don't understand this. You guys have a Philly soft pretzels. Why are they soft? Walk me. I mean, we have pretzels all over the world, but what's going on?
You've never had a soft pretzel? Wait a minute. Hold on.
Yeah, wait. Is that just a Philly thing?
That's like a movie theater thing.
Oh, those pretzels.
Well,
I thought it was like a Philly thing.
No. So think about like maybe remember what are the super pretzels?
Yeah, the big boys. You get the little mustard dipper thing.
Yeah,
we have Auntie Anne's.
Auntie Anne's. Yeah.
Yeah, but so here's the thing about Philly: the humidity and the water. They do things to bread. They do things differently to bread, pizza crust, rolls,
bread,
pretzels.
water.
So they're different here. Like this is why you can't find a good sandwich anywhere in the country, is because of what the atmosphere does to the roll.
Well, wait a minute. Tampa has got Cuban bread. So you guys have Cuban bread.
That's fair.
Cuban bread is really good.
No. People are going to kill me for that. Yeah. When I talk about like cheesesteaks and hoagies are like, you can't say to me, you can get a cheesesteak in Oklahoma. No, you can't, because it's 70% of it is the bread.
Yeah.
So when you can't make a cheesesteak on Cuban bread, right? But I'll do a Cubano on that shit all day long. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. No. I just mean like the things that are inherent to Philly. Like I'm not shitting on Mexican sandwiches, and you know what I mean? But not
unless it's made with Mexican water. Then there's a whole different story when it comes to bathroom visits. All jokes aside, what is a tasty Kakes?
Tasty cake.
Tasty cake.
Oh yeah. It's make fun of the dyslexic hour. Okay,
what is it? I like
this.
Really, because it didn't have a C in it, you didn't think it said cake?
No, it doesn't make phonetical sense. No. I literally hate the two of you right now.
You're a whack job.
Okay.
Tasty Cake is a little plant that started down in Philly that makes all the cupcakes and all these different like coffee cakes and crimpets and
assholes.
All the
there's a hoagie shop down in Dunedin by my house, and they're old school. Like they're cash only, but they're Philly guys. I don't know if they fly any water or bread in. It's really good, but it's they have tasty cakes there, which is rare. Like you don't really see that.
Have you ever had them?
Yeah.
Okay, they're good, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean,
it's a nice little treat. I mean, it's not like I'm not running into Hawaii going, you guys are tasty cakes, but they're really good. Yeah.
All right. So here's my last question for you on food. What the fuck is it with the tomato pie? Why no cheese? Why nothing on this thing? Why just a tomato pie?
You know, I don't know the reason for that. It's definitely different than a pizza, and it is super, super enjoyable. Like there's a couple Corpolis around here. There's Carlino's, like and I know I'm leaving a couple out. My Philly friends will drop a couple.
Serrano's Bakery.
Who is it?
Serrano's Bakery.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with them, but that could be one of them. There's really a couple that are at the top of the chain, but I will tell you this. It's nice for a treat. They're good at parties. I'm taking the cheese and the extra cheese all damn day. Yeah. I'm having a pizza.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, we have scachata. That's like a Spanish thing. It's like a tomato pie. It's like a combination. So it's just the crust and the sauce, but it's thicker. It's almost like like Jets pizza, whatever that style pizza is, Detroit style. So it's like a thicker crust.
Yes.
Deep dish.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Not quite. It's not deep dish, but it's a thicker. It's a Detroit thing, I guess. But the scachata is like a Spanish. We used to have it at birthday parties all the time because it's good cold. But it's just the sauce with a little bit of like sprinkle cheese on top.
Yep, that's exactly right. Yep, that's what a tomato pie is. Yep.
All right, gentlemen, I want to wrap this up because I got to tell you, I've learned a lot about Gene that I did not know. You guys are
I know who
definitely
to
more
call now
foodies.
if my network is down. Shit.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
I've actually done that with Gene. I'm like, Gene, I got a problem.
That's true.
But it actually is
My
true.
T1 line. I'll call your wife if my T1 vertebrae is bad, and I'll call you if my internet T1 is down.
There you go. See, look, we got it all covered.
Combo.
The T is covered. So guys, the reason why we want to do this show is that we want to give you guys insight a little bit more about the host of these shows, because you hear us and see us all the time. I said in the beginning of the show the exact same thing, but you really don't know us at a core. You might know me because I've done a lot of interviews about me on different shows, hundreds of shows at this point. But the two gentlemen that I share the screen with on a consistent weekly, hourly, daily basis, I love to learn more about them. And I'm glad you guys are sticking around. A lot of good comments, a lot of good interaction. We really appreciate you guys for hanging with us. And the reason why I went into those last two questions is because I wanted you guys to understand that when you're out meeting with clients, ask them those weird questions. Like, if you're on death row, what would be your favorite? What would be your last meal? And just, that's a pattern interrupter, and you can get into their brain. Now you can have a real conversation with somebody. Or, hey, you live in Pittsburgh, California, which is right around the corner from me. What's your favorite Mexican restaurant? Which I already know what it's called, but they're going to be like, oh, well, I like blah, blah, blah. Get people talking with questions they don't expect. Look at Gene, look at Nick. These two guys lit up like Roman candles when we started talking about these different things. Gene popped off with multiple different restaurants, all these different crazy different food things I was throwing at him. He didn't flinch. He just, bam, knew it. You guys have that knowledge in your brain. You guys can bring that to the table when it comes to lead generation, talking about doing video. Hire, Gene, hire Nick. Get this information out so that people will understand that you have a passion for your community. That's the point of this. You get to know Gene more. Now we're going to do an interview with Nick. Not today. On another date, we're going to do an interview with Nick. We're going to dive deep into kind of his life, his challenges, his successes, his dreams, his goals, and everything else. So, Gene, I want you to give us 2 goals and 2 dreams. That's not 3. That's not 2, Greg. That's 2 and 2. Kind of where you see 2023 going.
Well, you threw that on me last minute.
Yeah,
I told you. I throw all the shit at you.
2 goals. I would
2
say
goals.
one goal is to have 4 more conversations a month with people because of your social media influence. 1 a week. That's a good one, right? 2 goals, 2 dreams.
Like it.
I have a number that I want to have in my bank account before the 6 months hits, just to have a cash stash. And I know people would argue with me on that. It's got to be invested. And I want to have that too. But I have a number just because I think if things do take a turn, if there's a recession, and I mean, some people say we're in it now, but if things start to go a little bit crazier, I want to be prepared. That's just me having a safety blanket. So that's a dream, I guess. Maybe that could probably be a goal. We're trying for Italy this year. I think that's going to be something that happens in July. So that would be a dream and a goal. There's 3.
I like that.
Yeah.
You've been there before?
I have not.
Oh,
You've never been to Italy?
I have not. No.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I've been there 4 times. You
really?
Four times.
I've been to Europe 18 times.
Oh shit! I didn't know. Oh, well, I can't wait for Greg's interview.
Well, I guess your grandfather probably should have paid that guy if you were in Europe, bro. What are you talking about?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. No, I've traveled the world. I've been to Russia. I've been to Japan. I've been all over Europe. I've traveled all over the
next
US.
interview, Greg McDaniel.
Right?
Bring the map out and the thumbnails. We want to see all the fucking places.
So France is one of my favorite places. There was this little pizza place I'll tell you guys about on my interview. Right next to the train station. There's a great story behind that. My brother and I, it's laughable when you hear the story that I have to tell you about this train station pizza place.
All right, Nick, take the notes. Take the notes.
That sounds like all the naked pictures you talked about earlier in the show.
Oh no! And then, in Japan, by the way, there is this little, again, it's a train station restaurant. The curry there was unfucking believable, and it came out of a freaking vending machine. Like, oh my God! So yeah, we're gonna talk about it. Jenny says you need to come to Philly and try all the amazing food yourself. You're a lot nicer than people say. Thank you, Jenny.
No, not you.
Yeah,
Philly people.
Well,
people
it's
in Philly.
coming through. I was talking when it came through. I don't know. All righty.
Paul Franklin's saying he's coming to Lancaster. Lancaster's about an hour and 15 minutes for me. So if you do, make sure you let me know.
Nice.
Yeah, sounds like a good deal. All right, boys and girls, we're wrapping this up. We all got shit to do. Gene, I got to tell you, super impressed with the interview. Thank you for your time.
Yes, cool.
Great insight.
Let me do it.
Well, I kind of made you do it.
That's true.
But it was very, very fun, and you volunteered, and you rose to the challenge. So thank you, Nick. Great questions, great interview status. Loved your insight on a lot of this. By the way, I'm not up next. Nick, you're up next. And we're gonna have a lot more guests, guys. We're gonna have Curtis from Red X coming out. We're gonna have Alyssa Melissa Gletz. She has, I think, 15 million followers on TikTok or some stupid fucking number. We're gonna talk about mortgages and how to be visible in 2023, doing TikTok videos, but doing it the adult way, so you're not shaking your moneymaker out there, but you're actually bringing value. You
should try to shake your moneymaker first and see if anybody likes it.
And you have a 12-year-old daughter, right?
No.
Okay, well, you will someday. Shit. But we have a lot of good guests coming up, and it's going to be a lot of fun, guys. So stick around. Our show is shifting, like we talked about in December of 2022. This is going to be more interview style. The three of us are going to be interviewing folks and just having a lot of fun. We're going to bring back a lot of old guests, and it's just going to be content. Take one piece from every show, put it into your business, or just put it into your personal life. We really don't care. We just appreciate you more than you could possibly imagine. So, Gene and Nick, you know your roles on this show. Nick, you're first. Color for the bow on the show.
Oh, man. I'm going white because I feel like a light bulb of enlightenment has come over my head after talking to Gene now. I didn't know all these things about him, and I feel good about it.
Me too. I feel all tingly inside, just going,
yeah.
I connect with him now. I love it. Gene's like, if you guys can't see him, he's sitting there smirking like, you fucking assholes.
I'm smirking because Nick set himself up for some heartbreak, but let's go.
Let's go.
All right, so we got a white bow. Gene, what's your color on the bow?
Oh, listen, it's not the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but I'm going Eagles green to match the white because this week they are going to stamp their ticket to get to the NFC Championship game.
That's it. It's coming.
All right.
New York who? New York who?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
You guys are weird. Anyways, love you guys to pieces. Thank for everybody who watched and listened the entire time. This is the Real Estate Uncensored. This is the what are we calling this show? This is like not a rewind. Is that what we want to call it? It's not the marketing roundtable.
Not this one.
Yeah, this would be a
relearn.
Real Estate Uncensored relearn.
We got to get these titles done before we go on.
It's the Real Estate Uncensored Shark Coochie Show.
No, it's not. Okay, this is the Real Estate. We are going to edit that out in post.
So good.
Shut up. Thanks for watching the Real Estate Relearn Show here in 2023. I have Mr. Gene Volpe. I have Mr. Nick Sakis, and we are going to cue out now. We have a white and a Eagles green bow on the show. Guys, if you liked it, please share with everybody that you like. Put it on your social media. Let everybody know about what we're doing out here, and hopefully people can gain a little bit of business from each one of our shows. But until next time, peace out, ninjas. We gone.